Hi everyone, Jill Foster here, bringing you a new monthly video series, Simply Shimmerz, Simply Penny Black Stamping. I'll be combining two of my favorite things, Shimmerz paints and penny black stamps, with a focus on keeping things simple. I find there's something really calming about sitting back, relaxing, and just painting. And with stamping, I can create the perfect images for whatever mood I'm in for painting. So these cards will be simple in their construction, no fuss, just one layer stamping and painting. And the Shimmerz paints that I'll be using today are the Inklingz, and these are a shimmering watercolor, and I'll be using all of the ones from the Gold collection, and I'll also be using a couple of the Aqua Hues, and those are a non-shimmering watercolor. The stamps that I'm using are Elegance in Motion, Poppy Gems, and Flower Gala, and those are all by Penny Black. And here's a look at the card that I'll be creating in today's video. And to begin, I will be working on Inchy Art's 4-inch white art squares. These are precision cut mat board squares, and the surface acts as a hot press watercolor, like a hot press watercolor paper. And these are really great to do this with because you can add lots and lots of water and layers and you don't have any warping or pilling of the surface. So I'm beginning by inking up my stamps with Versamark ink. I already rubbed an anti-static bag across the art squares so that the embossing powder only sticks where I have stamped the image. I'll stamp these and then I will sprinkle with embossing powder and then I will heat to set that. And with an eye on keeping things simple, I really like to pre-stamp and heat emboss my images so they're ready to paint whenever the mood strikes. So often I'll do this like at the beginning of the week and set up a corner at the dining room table or even a TV tray with my paints ready and my stamped images ready to go so I can sit down and squeeze in some creative time each day, or even if it's just for a few minutes, it's already ready to go and I'm more likely to get that time in if I have everything pre-stamped and set up somewhere where I know I will be or I can be with my family in the house. So again, you just see me here sprinkling these with my embossing powder, and I'm working assembly line style. So I put the anti-static bag on all of them, then I'm stamping all of them, sprinkling with the powder, and then I'll go back and heat set all of them at the end. And then this last stamp, Elegance in Motion, is a really beautiful stamp, and I'll show you at the end how these alternate versions turned out. And don't be afraid if when you're working on these art squares to stamp a larger image on them. I really like the look when part of the image is going off of the edge of the surface, and that's what I've done with actually all of these stamps today. And here you can see I'm just going ahead and heat setting those. Now I'm working with the Gold Collection Inklings, and these come in a little pot, and the color is hard in there, so you just have to activate it with water. I'm very generous with the water, so I spray it almost until the pot is full. Let it sit for about 10 minutes and then stir it up, and you can see how beautiful and creamy that paint is. The longer you let it sit and the more water you add, the creamier the paint will be. And the color I'm starting with here to paint in my Poppy Gems image is Gosh Garnet. And I'm just painting that in. And what's nice, because that's embossed, it creates a little bit of a lip and it makes it easier to stay in the lines. And so this is kind of like a base layer. And then I'll go back in and add some shading on top of this. I really encourage you to try these Inklings. This was one of the first times I really got in and painted an image just with the Inklings, and oh my gosh, they're so gorgeous in real life. It's really difficult for me to capture on camera, and even with my card photos that you'll see at the end, the shimmer of these. They're just beautiful. I'll try and show you here. That's even while it's still wet. You can even see it in the little pot of paint there. Now I'm going to add some shading, and the color I'm using now is Mochachino. And I'm just going to add that sort of at the base of the petals. And that first layer of the Gosh Garnet color is still a little bit wet. And so that does sort of help those colors blend together. And I'm just, you can see, adding that in at the base. And now I'm going to go in with the Good as Gold color and add that up at the tips of the petals. Just a little bit. And then what I'll do is I'll go back with just water on my brush and to blend out those sort of harsh lines where those stopped. And that helps the colors just bleed into each other and have a natural blended look. So I went ahead and did that on all of the petals and the flowers. And now I wanted to add just a little bit more of a punch of color. So I grabbed my Aqua Hues, and these are a non-shimmering watercolor. But when you add a lot of water to the pot to activate them, they remain somewhat transparent, so you still get some of that shimmer coming through. So I added just a touch of the color Hottie Pink right down at the base of those petals, and then went back with just water to help that blend into the rest of the petal. And then I'll add a little bit of the pot of gold color on the tips of the petals, just a touch. And then blend that out with just a little bit of water and almost kind of pat my brush at the edge of where that gold color ends. And then this is the Cup of Joe color. I use this color all the time. Again, this is the Aqua Hues, a non-shimmering watercolor. And I just added a little bit of that in the centers of the flowers. And just like the others, I blended it out with some water. And if you have any areas where it's on the embossing, just go back with a wet brush and you can kind of move that off the embossed area. Now this color, this is called Sheer Bliss, and it's also in the gold collection. It is really nice. You can go back and add sort of a highlight on your image, and it's this pearly white color, and it just makes everything kind of creamy and blend together. Now to paint the leaves, I'm using I'm Not Lyman, and there's not a lot of open area on these leaves, so I didn't do any blending. I just painted them with this one color, and for me that had enough visual interest just because the stamped image has a lot there for you already. And I just continue to do that on the rest of the image. Now I'm ready to paint my background, and I am just putting down a layer of water first, and then I'll be taking the color Blue My Mind, another Inklingz, and I will be just adding that where I added the water right up next to that image. And then I'll go back with more water to sort of blend that out. And here's where it's another reason it's really nice to be working on those art squares. You can do these really lots of water and paint on the background, so the whole thing is being covered with paint and water, but there's no warping of your piece, and it's really easy to just add it to a little note card and your card is ready to go. I've also painted these and then just added ribbon, and they make a nice little wall hanging as well. And I'll just continue to paint this around the image and the background with this Blue My Mind color, and it dries this gorgeous turquoise. It's really pretty. Sorry about my head in the way there. So once that's done, I wanted to show you here a little bit, if I could capture on camera, the stunning shimmer. And in real life, these actually look quite a bit softer. The colors look a little bit softer than they do when I took pictures. So here's the finished card. I just stamped a sentiment and added it to a note card, and it was ready to go. And then I did a couple other variations using the exact same techniques, and you saw me stamp those at the beginning of the video. And I just got some photos of those here and tried again to capture that beautiful shimmer for you as well. Here's the one that was stamped with Flower Gala, and I just repeatedly stamped those tulips around the edge and added a sentiment to it. And some more of that shimmer. So I thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video and want to see more, please be sure to subscribe to both the Shimmerz and the Penny Black YouTube channels. For all the ways you can connect with and shop Shimmerz and Penny Black, I've linked everything up for you in the YouTube description box. And as an added bonus, if you're placing a Shimmerz order, be sure to mention my name in the comments section of your order so you can receive free paint. And here's a list of all the supplies and colors used in today's video.